All right, so today we're gonna take a look at arguably the best 360 camera you can get for just under $1,000. Let's get started. What's good, everybody? Ken here. You're watching OriginaldoBo. Continuing on with my real estate tips and tricks series, we're taking a look at something that's been requested quite a bit. This is the Theta Z1. I haven't done 360 tours for my business in roughly about 2 years, ever since I stopped using the Insta1X. I wasn't really happy with that camera's quality, and I really didn't feel comfortable charging my clients for 360 tours that just didn't look really all that good. So this is the Theta Z1. This is my first impressions. This is the first time I've ever got a chance to experience this camera. So I'm gonna let you know what I think of it and whether or not it's worth the money. So first things first, let's go ahead and get into the specifications, because holy shit, this thing is pretty amazing and it's packing some heavy specs. So first things first, 23 megapixel camera. It can shoot up to a 7K still image, which I think is pretty amazing. That's a 360 degree 7K still image, which is amazing. It also has a new lens, and I'm looking at my notes here because there's so much information. I wanna make sure I deliver it all correctly to you. So this camera actually has a veritable aperture, meaning that you can change the aperture on this, and it has an f2.1 and f3.5, f5.6 aperture, which, I mean, it's not, okay, so it's not the smallest aperture you can do, because obviously when you're shooting real estate, you're probably like f7, f8, but keep in mind, this is a 1-inch sensor, so you're not gonna need to go as far to get a sharp image, which is pretty awesome. It does have the capability to shoot 4K video, although I'm not testing any of the video capabilities on this camera. I'm not gonna use it as that. I'm gonna use this strictly for photos and virtual tours, which is most important. It has built-in noise reduction into the sensor, and in my testing, it works incredibly well as far as noise reduction goes. I have zero complaints from what this camera has. So it has multiple shooting modes. You can shoot bracketed modes, you can shoot HDR processing, which is pretty awesome. For all the tests that I've done and all of what I have done this past week, I have basically just shot it in the stock settings, the stock configuration, because I wanted to see what this camera can do if the average photographer that doesn't know anything about technology picked it up, started shooting. Would it be passable for an agent? And yes, it is. It is more than passable, more than adequate, because I've seen a lot of videos out there right now where people are doing all this crazy crap with this camera. They're doing flash for brackets, and they're just over processing and overthinking the process of this camera. This camera was made for simplicity. This camera was made for speed, and what you get straight out of camera is already amazing, and I don't see the need to do anything really additional on it. So moving on, there is some downsides to this camera, which we will discuss here a little bit later on, but it does have built-in storage, 19 gigs of built-in storage, or they're saying that it is an average of 19 gigs. So it's probably like a 25 gig storage, but that to me is a downfall, but I wouldn't say it's like a negative thing. I've learned just to empty this internal SD card as I start shooting. I just connect it to the MacBook, empty it, and it's got a USB-C down at the bottom, so it's super easy to connect up and just dump your files as you're going through shoots. If you're not already doing that, you probably should be. It does make a big difference. I just want to confirm that it is the 19 gigs of storage. I'm pretty sure that's what I read. And when I've connected it, it did say 20 gigs, but that was my computer. So let me just double check on that. Yeah, it does say 19 gigs of storage. So that's good for about 2,400 photos, a little bit more than 2,400 photos. So you just got to be mindful with your scans. Are you going to take more than that? Typically per house, if I'm not doing a Matterport, I'm about 26 to 27 photos, positions that I'm going to use when it comes to virtual tours. If you're doing a Matterport scan, you can double that instantly because you have to scan so many angles for those to actually look well. All right, so looking over the device, it feels really great. It is built really, really well. If you're used to what you feel from the Insta1s, forget that. This thing is amazing as far as build quality goes. On the side here, you do have your function button, mode button, Wi-Fi button, and the power button. Simply press the power button and it will turn on blue light, and then you'll see the touch screen here. It's not a touch screen, I shouldn't say that. It's not a touch screen, but you will be able to see your shutter count and how many photos that you have left available to shoot on the SD card. You can connect this to the application, which I find that the app works really well. It's a simplistic app. It just connects right up and I don't have any problems with it. And you can view your photos right from there, and it also synthesizes the photos directly on the device, so there's no further stitching that you have to do when you get it back to your computer. It's already ready to go to Lightroom, which is a big deal. It saves you a lot of time. There's nothing additional you have to do like with what happens with an Insta1R camera, or at least that's what used to happen with their cameras. At the bottom, you do have a spot where you can connect it to a tripod. It's 3/8 ball head. You can connect it to whatever you want. I just connected mine to the top of a light stand, and at the bottom base of my light stand is a really, really narrow, I mean, it's super narrow, but a monopod would work just as fine. The benefit to using this over something like the Matterport is the size. This is way more portable. It's super light. You can throw it in your bag. You don't have to worry about it. And you don't have to use a big clunky tripod like you have to use with that Matterport device. Obviously, also the price is really attractive at $995. That's a steal for what you get as far as quality. So a lot of you are probably looking at this like, screw that, I'm gonna get the Insta1R. How much better is the quality actually in comparison? Well, it's tremendously better. I advise you to click on this card up here. You can wait till after the video or go now. Go watch the video I did doing virtual tours with Momento 360 and the Insta1R. It's a night and day difference. We'll jump into Cloud Pano here in just a second. But night and day difference as far as quality goes. Build quality, this thing absolutely destroys the Insta1R as far as build quality. Now the difference is this is not meant for outdoor use. This is not meant to be used as an action camera. Yes, you can film with it, but it's not actually designed for that. So something you're gonna wanna keep in mind. There's different use cases for something like this versus the Insta1R. All right, let's jump over into Cloud Pano so we can actually take a look at the virtual tour that I did. Now, this is my first time using Cloud Pano, so keep that in mind, that don't let this be a reflection of the camera. This is more or less me. But overall, I am very, very happy with this. And there was no post-processing with this. I just shot in the HDR profile on this and off I went. And for me, the images look really, really sharp. I mean, look at this right here. The detail is amazing in these images. Let's go over into the kitchen area here. And let's go to kitchen. Did that go to the kitchen? See, I'm so new at this. Good dynamic range across the board. Let's go back over here. Let's grab another image here. I'm still new at Cloud Pano. I'm still trying to figure it out. But look at the detail. Look at the color, the saturation. It's amazing, amazing. Like, if you would have told me a 360-degree camera could do this type of work and I wouldn't have to do very much post-processing, I wouldn't have believed you a couple of years ago. But just look at this. Look at this area right here. Look how sharp and detailed all of this is. I mean, this is perfect for somebody who is wanting to, you know, use this as a tour, or just go ahead and just use this as just as it is. I mean, this is perfect. So I'm gonna just go through my virtual tour that I did. And yeah, I was off-centered with that tripod. That tripod I was using was pretty terrible. But you know, it got the job done for this house, and we got pretty good dynamic range with this. You can see out to the pool area here. Let's go ahead and click over to the den area, because I think the den has some really good dynamic range too. So you can see out the window here, and there's one shot I got with this where I was just like, wow, that was really good. I think it was this shot here. I got really good pull out here. So good pull outside. Let's go outside and take a look at how that looks. Outside, the dynamic range is great. You will notice some lens flaring here, because the sun was directly above. It was about 1 o'clock. So positioning is going to be important. There is a little noise in the shadow area here, but that's to be expected. I mean, you got to sort of pick your battle with this. Do you want to expose for the pool area? Do you want to expose for the shadow? I think it personally did really well. And if I was being really super critical, I could have shot this in brackets and blended it down in post if I wanted to. I want these to be fast. I don't want to be sitting there doing more work in the end. So that's the reason why I didn't. Here's an area. So the opposite side of the pool deck where we used it, and I think this did well. It did great. I mean, this is a little bit of an easier situation because we're exposed underneath here. We can easily pull down the highlights over here. That's not a problem to do. So yeah, I think that was pretty decent. Here's another shot of the kitchen. Inside, this thing just is lights out, the best that you're gonna get. I mean, it is the best. Let's look at the master bedroom here. Again, great dynamic range, good detail. There you can see that's the tripod I was using. I could have positioned that out of the way. That's me being sloppy, but yeah, I mean, all in all, I think that looks absolutely great. I could have did it better on the window pulls. I see that Nathan Cool is using flash, but again, I wanna keep this simple, but he's using a flash trying to get better window pulls with this. But I think if I shot in brackets, this would be fine. Let's go ahead and take a look at how it did. What was it? The bathroom, I think. Let's take a look at the bathroom. This is the guest bathroom. So guest bathroom, really tough spot, a lot of sun coming in here, and I think this did great. Again, super sharp images. The verticals aren't terribly distorted for a 360 camera. I mean, you're just not gonna get better than this. I'm very impressed with this. It just did a great job. Even the white balance is really important to watch. Look how well it transitioned the white balance from the alternative camera. You do have a weird little color shift right over here by this painting. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but that could just be because the sun was coming in there. But here's another area, another room. Just these images are so natural and beautiful. So yeah, I really have zero complaints on this. This is probably prime example of why you would buy this. Like, look at this, the sun's blasting in. We still get a little bit of detail in the window here, but look at this. This just looks really pleasing. So, all right, enough of me jabbering on. So yes, I am very, very impressed with this camera. It does amazing. Now, Ricoh does offer virtual tours through their website, so if you want to use their software, you can use their software. I am just using Cloud Pano because one, it's a great price, and they offer floor plans and things of that nature as well that you can get made. And it's just a little bit easier for me to embed this. But I think all in all, very, very impressed with this. The limited amount of noise is great. It does work with the Matterport scans. However, I didn't do a Matterport scan simply because I didn't want to spend the time to do that. I tried on this house, and this was the first 2-story house I've ever tried one on, and I completely screwed it up. So I ended up scrapping it, but it does work with it. Matterport is its own little beast, and I didn't feel like dealing with that. So for me, this is definitely worth it. So I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description below if you want to pick one of these up for yourself. Personally, I think it's a great investment. If you're serious about real estate photography, agents are going to ask you for this, and more so right now, you got to ride this pandemic wave. And for as long as it's going to be for people to social distance, these things are going to be relevant. It's $1,000. I charged $140 for this virtual tour, and it's not even a great virtual tour. It's haphazard at best, and I'm going to easily pay this off by next week. I'll have this paid off. I've done 3 more virtual tours that I'm still working on putting together at $140 a pop. That's pretty cheap on top of what I've already made on the real estate shoots. So pretty damn cool. If you guys want to see the advanced version of this, I'll do it in part 2 where I talk about the bracketed options that this offers, because I think that's really important for you guys that want to get a little bit more critical and get the best possible image out of the Ricoh. The bracket images, you can blend those down in post. Rich Baum has some great tutorials on that as well. So I encourage you to check out their channels to take a look at it. But yeah, first impression, this thing is a banger. It's absolutely amazing. And I wish I would have bought one sooner, because I wouldn't have missed out on so much of that money from the agents that were not doing open houses. So there it is. Ricoh Z1. I don't know how you pronounce it. I'm sure somebody will correct me. That's gonna do it for this video. As always, guys, stay original.